Don't fire me, please. All right. So let's get it. Let's get it going. What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, BMT, coming at you again with another live. I'm actually doing this show, but this is actually quite a different show because we are definitely going to be going over some topics. We're going to be going over some information, but I would like to ask something very, very, very tried and true. If you are watching this right now, help us. Help us fight shadow banning. A lot of channels are being shadow banned, especially depending on the topics or the information of what you're pushing out. So to help us help you, please share the video, post it in your groups, post it in your channels, post it around your feeds to help us get out the message, because we're going to be making some pretty big announcements of stuff, of things that we're going to be going over. And so I sat down with my team, as well as I got to sit down with my co-host, and we talked about it. And this is what we intended to do. And it was originally, I was hit up, and I don't mind showing the message, but I was hit up in literally back to back 2 days to have these discussions. So I've been getting hit up by different cultures and ethnicities because they want to have the talk. I don't want to ever let people think that people aren't willing to have discussions with us or with our diasporas. It's just that people watch and they are selective of, are we mature? Are some people mature enough to have the discussions? You know what I'm saying? And we always want to put forth our best. Wow. So they definitely want the stuff. Okay, let me go ahead and take care of that. But thank you. So I think I'm getting on that. So we definitely want to get that handled. The stuff. I think we put out the wrong information. I was supposed to be dropping their links. Do y'all have a channel, Snafu? Do you have a channel? I can get your channel. But one of the things about it that I definitely want to talk to y'all about was a lot of the tension going on in the nation, as well as in the communities.
For sure.
So that's what we definitely want to talk to y'all about.
Do you want me to introduce myself real quick to you?
Yes, of course. Yes.
All right, my man. So I actually...
Your mic sounds a little muffled. Wait, 1 second. Why do your mic sounds muffled?
Yeah,
hold on 1 second. Let me kick it.
Hey, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, much better. Much better.
Much better.
Yeah, much better.
All right, can you guys hear me a little better?
Much better.
Okay, cool. So Carolyn actually invited me. I guess she's a mod for you guys here at BMT, and she knows your guys' community. And from what I've seen, you guys have an awesome community. The topics you guys do and what you do, very cool. My name is Snafu Snaps. You can find me at www.snafusnaps.com or on YouTube, Snafu Snaps. And what I do is we are a Truth Yo community is what I basically do. Everyone and anyone, red, white, blue, black, green. What I say is the optics are high. The optics are high. We have many people that work with many different various channels like Marfugal TV, Road to Prison. In fact, InfoWars, we have people who've been going out there working with them. I know I've talked to Owen before many times. The optics that we see both in the political and spiritual realm of the world that we're witnessing are so high that everyone is processing them and trying to figure out the truth yo is what I like to call it. And even if it's not the right truth yo or the wrong truth yo, it's up to us to individually talk about it, discuss it, discern, and for you guys to, break it down. And so much censorship is going on, as you mentioned, shadow ban, which is something I'm very versed to deal with on my channel as well. So no, I just appreciate you inviting me here and have this discussions we have together, because that's what our crew is about. The Snafu crew is getting the truth out there and talking to everyone, and really, being what we are, citizens of the world versus the elites. And a lot of this is on a very spiritual battle as well, because the world stage is being set, as I like to say to everyone, and we're witnessing the systematic setup of that taking place right now.
Okay. All right. We also joined here by Caroline. What's going on, Caroline?
Not much. Just was wanting to have this start a dialogue. I am a mom. I am a researcher. I am a child of God, and I see, what's going on around me, and just try to use my discernment what I see going on.
Okay. All right. And also I pulled up the channel. We also asked y'all guys, listen, help donate towards this. We are helping people through trying times right now. A lot of families have lost a lot. I am also donating 100% of my YouTube funds and donations that I receive. I'm going to be giving them towards parents that are going to be homeschooling. That literally is that can cost.
That's very cool, man. That's very cool.
So that's what I'm going to be doing, because there's going to be a lot of parents that are going to be starting out down that path of homeschooling. And, I'm probably going to take one of my channels and dedicate that towards showing my journey of homeschooling through COVID. So I'm going to showcase that journey and explain some stuff that we can all do. And we'll probably have StreamYard meetings on things and information that we could probably partake in. You don't have to be a parent. Just have some good dialogue discussions on how we're going to have to get through this, because the school year has actually been pushed back 1 month. So that way, for those who are sick, we're finding out children are sick, and a lot of people have stepped back. So we also are joined here by Zardell. Do you want to say who you are before I introduce the co-host of the channel?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Zardell. You call me Z. I'm a nomad. I'm a Christ believer, and I'm pretty much someone who watches the economy. I'm a business owner.
Okay. All right. So, well, I can't introduce her. That would be a disservice to her. We have the real Dana. Go ahead.
Well, you can introduce me. Thanks for always having me here. I appreciate it. I think tonight's discussion is going to be good and interesting.
No doubt.
So maybe you should just do some rules and regulations.
No. Right.
Before we start.
Yeah, no. I wanted everybody to have their own introductory time. I definitely want everybody to have their own introductory time and everything. But yeah, me and Dana have been collabing for a while, especially on topics, especially when we first started for the Hour of Power. It was definitely something that was brought about through one of our co-hosts, Nichelle Foster. She's a lawyer. Also, we have it. She's right here. Also, awesome. And also we have our Dr. A, our residential. She's a residential OBGYN, as well as she owns her own practice. She's very, like, that woman puts in over 100 hours every week, just about. And then we had Dana, and that literally was the trifecta of literally them three magnificent ladies and myself. We started pushing for the Hour of Power, where we started grabbing professionals from all over the community to start answering and start looking for issues and trying to figure out how we can solve them, on a micro level. You didn't have to have thousands or millions of dollars. You just had to just put in the work and it can get handled. Or we will give them information and we'll look it up and for free. One of my co-hosts right here is Nichelle. Nichelle, this is what we dreamed about, dear. This is one of the big things that me and you talked about doing. And also, we are also joined here by one of the men that greatly has been one of my brothers that I remember when we were going hard on Facebook. This is when we were together when Silk and Diamond, Brandon Tatum, all of us, all the big conservative 45s that y'all see now. Literally, me and Mo used to be at that table, but we walked a different path. Me and him don't regret it. That's why people always ask about our numbers. Why are they the way they are now? We chose to walk a different path, and we don't regret it. We don't regret it at all. What we did, because literally we understood that there are still people in the community that are trying to make a difference. I care. Mo cares. You know what I'm saying? And, we're still doing prison ministries, helping out young people. So Mo, of the Maurice Delk channel, welcome, brother, and as well as Kelly, Mrs. Delk, I would call her. We also have them. So you're looking at a lot of people are definitely from there's a lot of YouTube collab channels are coming up today. This is something that we've been pushing for a lot. That what I'm saying, this is like one of those meetings that needs to be talked about, but it's not going to be talked about until later on after we've already done it. But I definitely plan on sitting down with Snafu and Mo and Kelly and Nichelle and Dana, and we might need to actually break bread on probably having a round table discussion on possible talks that as people in our communities that we can look at solutions to actually find some commonality of a middle ground to meet it. But go ahead, Mo and Kelly. Tell us about yourself before we get it kicked off.
All right, I ain't got that much long. I'm actually on my break at work.
Okay,
I think 30 minutes. But yes, I'm Maurice Delk, and I'm a conservative activist, and my number one goal is to reach out to the inner city. That's my thing, is to reach out to the inner city, to reach out to the people that are blinded, that have their blindfolds on, and so that's my goal, and I just, first my platform was more conservative, like we just talked about. It was more conservative. I was on the Trump train more, and now I decided to be like, when Trump get out of office, where my platform going to leave? And so I think ahead. Got to stick you got to stick ahead of the game. Got to be ahead of the game, and that's it. Got to think ahead. You can't think right now. You got to think ahead, and that's what I'm doing. I just love being intellectual and find common ground with everybody, whether you have a different opinion or not. That's it.
Okay. Like I said, the panel is definitely built up. This panel right here, I'm gonna be babying the hell out of this panel. But it's a very sensitive talk. And us as we agreed with all donations, and I think Snafu's cool with it, and the real Dana and myself were cool with it. All donation proceeds for today will be going towards stay-at-home parents to help them through COVID. So we're asking y'all literally to donate towards coming up on the panel. As you already see, the panel has definitely already full. Nichelle, you want to say something there before we kick it off as one of the co-hosts?
Greetings, happy Sunday, everybody. I know a lot of people are hurting and a lot of people are suffering, but at this point in time, we have to come up with solutions because history is repeating itself.
Yes.
Today, on a Sunday, a large group of, to put it mildly, Blue Lives supporters descended on Friendship West Baptist Church here in Dallas, Texas. and they rallied in the private church parking lot for over half an hour, rallying against Black Lives Matter for over half an hour before they finally decided to leave. So we can't go back to where we were in 1919 when the Spanish pandemic led to the bloodiest summer of lynchings in United States history. Red Summer of 1919 occurred during the Spanish flu pandemic. So we have to be mindful not only of our own plight, but a lot of people, Black, white, Asian, they've lost their job. They're desperate. They're about to be evicted or foreclosed on. Tempers are flaring. So please, my brothers and sisters, we have to think rationally. We have to use our common sense, and we have to plan ahead, as my brother Mo said. We must start to plan ahead.
Okay. So, like I said, everyone that's in the chat, we do ask for you to, send out the link, to send out, to share it. Understand, the main, we know Mo's only going to be here for a while, so we also have Kelly. We're going to be rotating. We are going to be rotating. I do know Dana's not going nowhere. Snafu and Caroline not going nowhere. And also Mo's not going nowhere in the show. And like I said, Zardell, he's here filling in the gap, and Iori is in here filling in the gap. But literally, so the conversation for that we're going to be having is literally on this, that we need to have the discussion on. Hang on, let me fix that up. Is anti-racism plight helping strengthen minorities, and is nailing the wrong answer to solidarity? These are two big issues. I think me and Michelle had talked about it from the legal standpoint. Me and Mo had already sparked it off. Caroline and Snafu wanted to speak on this. Me and Dana have talked about this. Me and Iori have talked about this, and Zardell has his opinions on this. So this is where we're at. We're going to be talking about this as far as it goes for trying to find a commonality solution. So let's start it off and figuring out from you guys about it. How do y'all feel about that? Let me start it off from Zardell, then head it over to Snafu. And like I said, please, 2 minutes, please. We have a lot of people on the panel, and I have to get it to Brother Mo. You don't have so much time. Or Dana, do you want to take it first as the co-host? And do you want me to pull it up there?
No, let him go first.
Go ahead, brother. Is Zardell, are you there? Okay.
Where you at, Z?
Yeah. I'm here. You guys able to hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
All right, sorry, I went to a dead spot. What I was saying is, it's not a sin issue. It's not a skin issue. It's a sin issue. The thing is that all this anti-racism plot is just you're really trying to keep a sinking ship floating, for the lack of a better term. I mean, at the end of the day, what you do is what you're going to do, regardless of your skin color. I think Black Lives Matter really destroyed and put us 60 years back, honestly. Only difference is that it's the inverse of the issue. 60 years ago, it was white against blacks. Now it's blacks against whites. It really makes no difference. Racism is racism and sin is sin. And the thing is that it gets nowhere. So when I see people protesting in the middle of the street, like I've witnessed, and I'm seeing them steal food and steal all this stuff, quite honestly, it makes me angry at them, and it makes me not want to help them. And I won't ever help them anyway. So that's all I got to say.
You won't ever help who?
I'm not going to help people who don't want to help themselves, who want free handouts. Black Lives Matter want free handouts. Life is not about free handouts. I started literally from the bottom. Now I'm here.
Okay.
What free handouts exactly are you talking about? Because I really would like for us to be very specific with this discussion and not generalize it, because that's very important.
Well, in my opinion, none of those kids, yes, I call them kids, they never really went through a struggle. They lived in mommy and daddy's basement in their bedrooms, and they're going to sit here and march about racism. I would love for them to actually talk to the elders and actually figure out what real struggle the elders went through. Because honestly, looking at these people, they're not doing anything. They're destroying everybody else's business while not having a business of their own. They're taking away other people's jobs by destroying the jobs. And now those jobs are going to move out of the neighborhood. Now what? Now you built a bigger pit for yourself. What are you going to do? For me as a business owner, if you burn my business down, well, I'm not going to serve your demographics. It's never going to ever happen.
Okay, so your pushback is you don't partake, because I don't partake in protests, but I do partake in organizing. Mobilizing and organizing are two different things, but you need both things to work together concurrently to actually see progress.
What are they protesting?
Your disposition, you're against when you see black people protesting under the Black Lives Matter trajectory.
Excuse me, but this isn't protesting. When I see parts of Chicago burnt up and shot up, which I am going to Chicago right now, Southside Chicago to be exact, I'm going to 47th Street. I'm close to Uncle Jay's. This place is shot up bad. When the infrastructure is falling apart,
I'm not disputing that, and let me finish my point. Because you don't have to protest and you don't have to like it, right? Because you're entitled to what you do with your time and your opinions and how you feel. But the fact of the matter is, black people always been protesting, well, not always. Black people really just started protesting and really rioting starting in the 60s. And it was for a valid reason, which is still going on today. Now, I see where your point is coming from. It's like if you're destroying businesses, particularly business where you live at and where you patronize at, you're destroying your neighborhood because there's no black community. But when you're talking about anti-racism here in America and the history and what is going on today, it's so much bigger than people protesting or rioting or burning down establishments. That's part of it because people are fed up. But if you don't educate yourself, and to your point, you have to educate yourself. You have to go back and talk to the elders and go back to history. Please do not interrupt me. No, we are not doing this today, honey. I'm about to be finished. When I'm finished talking, you could go.
Okay, no problem. But
you do have to go back. You do have to go back to history, and you do have to educate yourself, which there is a lack of, particularly with black people. And I'm gonna be very specific with black people. So I don't completely disagree with you. I don't completely disagree with you, but the fact is that there is a problem as far as racism against black people.
I like that you said educate yourself. I do want to say that.
Let's pass on the snafu.
I like that you say I like that you say educate yourself, and I agree with both of you guys. But if you really educate yourself, I deal with politics. I deal with obviously we're witnessing prophecy being fulfilled at the highest. Okay. And again, subliminal messaging has existed forever out there. This stuff is in our face, what is going on. Did you know, and I do mean no disrespect to anyone on this panel, but Black Lives Matter is linked to Hassan? Go do your education. Go look at it. Who's Hassan? You should probably educate yourself on it.
No.
Because the thing is, I will. Do you understand that there are countries like Iran and Iraq and all these other political entities dealing with whether it's Muslim, Jew, Christian, this or that, And right now we're at a spiritual warfare, and the world is changing right now. New World Order minus Hulk Hogan. If you're a wrestling fan, you know what that means. The optics are high. And all I'm saying is if you educate yourself, infiltrations have happened everywhere on all levels. And this is like elites, Republican, Democratic, this, that, and people have the right views and want to protest in the right ways. But like the man said, our buildings, our country was being destroyed within infrastructure. That to me is domestic terrorism.
Let me ask you this question, because your focus, and it seemed like you and Zardell focus is on Black people or Black Lives Matter mobilizing, protesting, focus, that you have a problem with that, with destroying things. And one thing what we're not going to do, when you
Correction.
say educate yourself, are you specifically talking about Black people need to educate yourself more? Because number one, I do take offense to that. Number two, white people have been rioting and protesting, tearing shit up in America since 1619. So if anybody has a history that needs to educate themselves and to check themselves, it is white people.
I don't think so. No, I disagree with that. I disagree with that statement.
I know you disagree with that. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you would, but that is a fact. So go educate yourself on American history on what white people have been doing.
I'll put it this way. It's a sin issue. It's not a skin issue. It's always going to be a sin.
I don't care. This whole country was built on a sin. Yes, you're right, Zardell. This country was built on a sin. White people have been terrorizing. They're the biggest terrorists in the world. No. They've been rioting. They've been protesting since 1619, since 1776, up until today, since 2020. What happened in Charlottesville, Virginia? So don't sit up here and tell me that you have a problem with Black people protesting and rioting.
I never said that. I never said that. I never said that.
Now, I'm not talking about people, period. This is behind you. So you need to educate yourself on Black people if you are white, because I don't know.
I have a problem with it. But why is it a skin issue? Don't humans in general, whether they're rioting or not? No.
We're trying to come up with solutions. We need order. We're trying to come up with solutions.
We're having a discussion. We're having solutions.
Hold on. But I get that. And I know this is going to be very tenseful. Let's stay away from you people. These people.
No, I'm being race specific. I'm saying white people because you have racism as your title. What is racism? See, we got to keep it all the way real when we're going to have this conversation, because when you talk about racism in America, you're talking about white people. You're talking about Black people. You're talking about immigrants. You're talking about a lot of people that are discriminated against because of the color of their skin.
So what's the first? Okay, so let's ask this question.
And that's why I said you're trying to float a sinking ship.
Okay, hold on. I'm not going to be doing when I talk, everybody starts cutting into me. I promise you, I will start cutting people off. Now let's do the first one. Are we going to tackle the anti-racism plight, helping strengthen minorities, or do y'all want to tackle the kneeling? And let's leave Black Lives Matter out of this one, and let's just talk about the racial issue. Because literally, let's leave the BLM out, because then when you start bringing them in, I bet you the alphabet people get thrown in, and all the kind of groups start getting brought into it. So I want to have the discussion about, y'all want to talk about is the anti-racism plight helping strengthen minorities? Let's start off there. Let's start off with that one. Is the anti-racism, because if you put certain stuff in hashtags or in social media, you can be banned, kicked off, or forever banished off of certain servers for saying certain type of slander or hate speech. Now, I gotta admit, if you can say the N-word as much as you want, you don't get in trouble for that. That amazes me. That literally, that saying that word, there's no problem with that. But other groups, if you say certain stuff about other groups, that can get you in trouble. I asked the question, as me as a Black man, why is that okay if literally we're saying that color should not matter, that anybody or everybody can put that in, and that's not an issue. You understand what I'm saying? I'm asking a fair question. The N-word is not, if I put that in the title, that's not a problem. I can say the N-word as much time I want. But if I say the old cigarette term or anything Semitic, I'm gone. That's the end of my channel or anything. So there has to be something going on that nobody wants to listen to. So I'm asking that, because that's one of the issues that I understand Dana's frustration, that you can't overlook that. You can't overlook that. There's been a lot of hurt going on. So when we're saying that, we're saying, hold up. People can say that and they say, well, what's the big difference? Get over it. So let me pass it to the lady. Let me pass it to Nichelle, and then we're going to jump into Mo, Kelly, Caroline, and Iori. Go ahead, Nichelle.
I think one of the things that frustrates a lot of people, I know it frustrated Dana, it frustrated me. When you pass the buck and say it's a sin issue, it's not a skin issue. Okay, it's a sin issue. We can't do anything about sin. It's been with us, it will be with us. Let's just move on. I got mine, I'm getting paid, I'm making my $32 an hour. So why can't everybody else? That is not the way we come together. That all this anti-racism is actually boiling over. As I said at the very beginning, in 1919, at the height of the Spanish flu epidemic, it became known as the Red Summer because so many Black people were lynched, men and women. White sympathizers were lynched as well. Murder was prevalent during the summer of 1919. So I guess they could have just said it's a sin issue. People have been killing each other since time. Why are we worrying about it? No, let's not pass the buck. This is about solution. Right now, people of all colors, Black, white, we're 13% of the population, Black people. 13% of the Black population. 13% of the United States population, excuse me. That being said, all of this special attention brought to us. You know, some states, Black people don't have to wear masks. You know, in some states, Black people can protest, whereas white people can't protest the fact that the bars have been shut down. That's their livelihood. We have to stop looking at this as a microcosm and see that if we want to be in it all together, then we need to empathize with the other people. It's not a Black or white issue. It really is, at this point in time. I'm surprised when I hear people talk about the Black community. You're burning stuff down in the Black community. I thought we desegregated. Are we acknowledging the fact that we're still very much a segregated society, that everyone who could get out of the hood got out? And those of you who see the protesters have no empathy for what they're protesting against because you got out. But as soon as you get out, where did you go? Did you go to a white community and watch your neighborhood shift from being a predominantly white neighborhood to a neighborhood of more Black people or minorities that were not necessarily white? Let's be honest. Stop with this whole I got mine. I don't like these Black protesters because they're making me feel some kind of way. They're going to make white people treat me differently. I'm a lawyer. I don't care. I'm an active Republican. I didn't say I was a conservative. I said I'm an active Republican. I told the Republicans last night, I'm so sick and tired of you quoting to me that I need to be like that famous college dropout that has no solution. Yes, as Mo said, after Trump leaves office, where are we going to be? What's the plan 10 years from now? I don't want my kids to have to protest like the students of the SNCC. They were students. They didn't have a pot to piss in. They didn't have their own businesses. And they're the reason why some of you pompous people can sit up there and say, I got mine. They were students. They didn't have their own businesses. They were still under their mommy and daddy's care. And they were out there taking the dog bites and the water hoses. So you can be so pompous and sit up there and say, I don't understand why they're out there protesting. That's all I got to say about it. Come up with some solutions.
Thank you, Michelle. Very good. You guys, like I said, I know this is touchy. I know. But this is not an easy conversation. And yes, I'm not, listen, I back Dana. I back her and I love her. She's very passionate about this. She does her research. Just like Michelle, Kelly wanted in on this, Caroline, Snafu, Zardell, ERE, Mo. We all knew what we were getting into when we did it. So we already knew that there's going to be emotion. So I don't want y'all thinking that they're just arguing. No, it's a discussion. And yes, it's going to be a roller coaster. You gotta, and when you're doing surgery, you gotta go through the pain. It's like we're trying to burst something new. So there's going to be some pain in this. You know what I'm saying? But you got to look at the ugliness of this nation. Everything wasn't
Hey, I
great.
got 10 minutes left, yo.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead and rock. Go ahead, Mo.
Okay, what I want to say is what I want to rant about, and you know, people can say I'm cooning, that I'm house niggering, whatever they want to say, but this is what my take on This is my outlook on things that's going on right now. And I believe this, and I don't care. I believe there's an attack on white people right now. I believe there's a reverse racism right now. I think white people are getting ridiculed over their hands or what their ancestors so-called did. I believe that. I see that. It's like they're apologizing because their ancestors may have hung our ancestors from a tree, and now they coming at white people trying to take their money about reparation and all that stuff, and white folks ain't having it. I don't blame them. Don't be taking my money for your reparation. I ain't had nothing to do with your past. I'm just saying, and stop it, y'all. You know why I say this? Because I got called a honky lover many times by black folks. Seriously, a honky lover. I ain't talking about Coon, Uncle Tom. I got called a honky lover, and it made me think reverse racism. Like me and BT, we talked about that 2 years ago. Reverse racism, and I thought about this. Ain't no, you know what it is? Racism still exists, and please, there are good white people. There are good white people. Stop acting like white people are the devils, the blue-eyed devil. Yes, white people got blue eyes, but they're not the devil. The devils is how you act. It's what's in you. It's principalities. That's the devil. It's what's inside of you. That's the devil. Stop blaming the white people. You got black people that allow the devil to use them. You got Puerto Ricans that allow the devil to use them. Stop calling them devil. That shit is dead. And I'm tired of it. I am diverse. I love everybody, whether you black, white, Hispanic, whether you're gay. I love everybody. I ain't blaming shit on a white man. I won't blame it. I stand. Now it's like I'm standing up for white people now. The same way that white people stood up for black folks, we're gonna stand up. We don't like the way it is. We don't like. And now I'm standing up like, no, leave them alone. Leave that person alone. I see women, black women with their babies and protesters attacking white people, doing it, beating white people for no reason. Now I gotta stand up for what is right. Y'all call yourself Christian, but what would Jesus do? He stand up for equality. I'm for equality. And that's what it's about. Equality. We gotta think. Stop judging a person by its color. It's his character. When I was growing up in the north side of Chicago, it wasn't about black or white cops. Chicago cops are the worst cops in the world to me. They were both terrible. Like Ice Cube said, black police showing out for the white cop. They all fucked up. If you fucked up, you fucked up. I don't go by race, and that's it. And I'm saying this. Well said. Next, go ahead, y'all.
Now, question. In asking that, right? If we would have asked them, if they're a
that's why that was Coon talking, but go ahead.
Dana, I love you. Stop.
Hold on.
We taking it there tonight.
Yes, so. Dana.
Take it there.
But go ahead.
Oh Lord, that's what
we can go there,
because
I'm done. I loved what you said, brother. I loved what you said, brother. I did.
Okay, now question.
I could call you an angry black woman, Dana. I could call you ABW right now.
I am angry. I'm angry because you have people up here who don't know history. So if I'm angry, I'm angry at the fact that people are so ignorant to the fact of American history. So you could go ahead.
Now let's ask.
But what is factual?
See, I try to be civil.
Now
that was ABW.
I am civil. I'm civil to you. I just said that's some coon talking.
Now, question.
You don't care if nobody call you a coon. Let me ask
the question.
I don't care. I don't care.
So then why are you being emotional about it? Why are you getting offended
about it? Emotional? You got emotional. You damn right. I am a coon.
No. Anytime when we talking about black people in history and what we deserve and what we have not got justice for, you damn right I'm emotional and I get angry about it because of ignorant people that sit up here and try to tell me or tell what black people should do and should not do and how we should protest or how we should fight. You don't get to do that. So you have an opinion.
Can I ask this question, guys?
Yeah, go ahead. Let me ask this question real quick, and then Snapper, you can go right after me. If we are trying to heal, if I would say, okay, for y'all to heal, I'm going to take my legal representation lawyer, Nichelle, and I'm going to take my historian, Dana, and I'm going to draw up a reparational paper for y'all just to pay it back and okay, you know what? We'll probably be square. We draw up the program plan and we do that. And y'all saying that, hey, y'all fine with that? Like, hey, that we draw up the paperwork. You know what I'm saying? We come up with we put the numbers together, we do everything right. Are y'all saying y'all are willing to actually say, you know what? Reparation sounds pretty fundamental. Yes or no?
I'm with it, absolutely. But the parameters have to be set.
Now, so there have to be parameters.
Meaning every single person doesn't, every biracial isn't going to be able to stand in line. There has to be some type of proof to where, the lineage is.
No. We have
some people may not have even.
You're right. No, you're right about that, Kelly. And I know you've been there to listen to some of the ADOS conventional talk. I told y'all be surprised we'll be sitting in on those meetings. And so there are talks about how we can do this. Now, when it's only that when I ask that, I usually get pushback from a lot of me in the shells on conservative party side, and they start looking at us crazy like, bitch, did you just say that? Like, wait, hold up. You just said that y'all were trying to feel. Okay, so give me, let me write out the estimate of my great granddaddy's land and what it's now worth, and you can just, pay it back. And you know what? All right. Would that be that big of a problem or no? Like, I don't understand. Like, and we're literally trying to make it square.
Oh,
that's like me raising a tab, but then I leave you with the tab.
It's like honestly, like
white people would rather go to war than to pay that.
True. But the thing about it is, every time someone says that, I remind everybody, including our elderly and our children, we are 13% of the population. This is diplomacy, not military. We do not effectively have the numbers or the international support that would overcome the fact that we are 13% of the population. I know we got all that in a bag of chips, but again, numerically wise, Joe is the one with the military strength. If we're 13% of the population, we don't have the weaponry that the United States government has. We may not even have the weaponry that some of these so-called patriotic groups have. In Dallas, as I said at the beginning, they occupied Friendship West parking lot for 30 minutes. When Black people scrambled to get together, I saw they were maybe packing one gun apiece with one round of ammunition. I have no idea what these nice country-fed people were packing in their F-550 big Bronco trucks, or whatever you want to call them, or on their motorcycles, but they were there and we were ill prepared to respond. This is just in Dallas. So they rode through an predominantly African-American neighborhood. Imagine 100 white guys riding through a Black neighborhood with Confederate flags and back the blue flags. And there was no one there to try to stop it. Again, during the 1950 civil rights movement, our churches were targets. They were bombed. We have to be realistic. This is no longer a time for us to get on the fence and say, look, I'm too busy worrying about making mine, feeding my family. I'm feeding my family just like Thurgood Marshall did, but I'm still fighting. Now, if you ask what legal remedies we have available for reparations, I mean, one, there's a thing called statute of limitations. We can get that waived if we want to sue. We can come in and say, look, guess what? If you stole the land, you stole the land. A void deed passes no title. There are people that can actually show that it was through lies to the court that the land was given to others. And you can recover that land or make the families of those people. If it was eminent domain, then the government owes you money. There are ways to trace these things. For people who were actually harmed, I tell people all the time, anyone who was thrown in jail during the civil rights movement, regardless of what their race was, they should be tax exempt for the rest of their lives. They should not have to pay inheritance tax. They should not have to pay capital gains tax. They should not have to pay property taxes because these people suffer. They have lifetime wounds and they can demonstrate it. I'm not trying to be compensated because my mama fucked my daddy, as a lot of people are. Again, when you start on this reparation stuff, we get back to what one of the gentlemen said. We sound like black people always want free shit. And no, some of us have worked way too hard. We're not asking for free stuff. We're asking for people who were wrong to be compensated, who can demonstrate that they were wrong. We know slavery was horrendous.
Go ahead, Snafu. I know you. Yeah, I remember you had your question, brother.
Yeah, I got a question. Like, I think I get where her side is at.
I'm out, y'all.
But I also understand. Oh, by the way, Mo, it was nice meeting you, brother. Take care, my man. And I want to first off say thanks for creating this panel.
Hey, be blessed, everybody.
Yeah, take care, Mo.
Thank you, Mo.
Yeah, and I also want to say thank you for allowing us to come on here to discuss this touchy topic with many different voices and opinions. That's the best move already with what we're in with this world situation. My whole thing is this whole race bait game type deal, whether it's black, white, this or that. We the people as citizens globally, do we not understand how the elites play on all of these issues that we really are starting to see rise up? Okay, I get what you're saying, but like the truth is like if you really look at the truth, those protests that are going on, there are a lot of white people protesting with just as many as the black minorities out there, and honestly, minorities in general, whether white, black, green, blue thing, when we talk about lynch mobbings, we do got to look at other countries. Even today, 2020 or 2020, lynch mobbings occur every day, whether you're in China, Brazil, Venezuela, Japan, Russia, you name it. And the citizens of the world got to understand that these race games, these propaganda shit that we see that cause these divisions are all part of like bigger pictures like Agenda 21 and things to that nature. And again, this leads up to the New World Order minus Hulk Hogan, you guys, to the ultimate control, the mark of the beast. We're already seeing this with the mask and this and that, and this whole race baiting stuff. Like, and whether you're on one side or another, we're feeding into the agendas being put in play, you guys. Proverbs 3:5 said, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding. None of us are understanding any of the stuff going on. Mandela effect. We got the freaking, so many weird optics, as I like to say. And then now with this racial tension, which has never existed until you started seeing certain entities promote it and want to get with it. And that also causes the war with the police state nation, which allows them to get more tanks, more, things like that. And we've seen beta tests like Paradise, California, and bigger things to the picture happen. This is a global issue, not a race issue. And it always has been from the day of the beginning, you guys. Good versus evil, man,
Okay. Let me read the super chat real quick, Dana. Shout out to Brother Rob for paying $10. Let me know if I'm letting y'all know right now. We talked about it throughout the crew. If you want to come up, you got to pay to come up. We're just not just letting y'all come up. These donations are going to families that are literally in need. Brother Rob, if you want to come up and share your voice of wisdom on this stuff, you all let me know, and I'll be monitoring the chat. Also, you guys, y'all put some ignorant stuff in the chat that attacks any of the panelists. You're out of here. I'm just letting you know right now. I'm not in the mood. You attack anybody from Dana, Snafu, Caroline, Kelly, Nichelle, Iori. You already know. I could banish you, and I won't blink. I'll sleep good tonight. Shout out to Brother Rob for the $10 super chat. Ambivalent apathy, aloofness affects our people like a cancer. Truly educate yourself to understand our history and context. Wow. So, also, We're joined here. We're also being
I have another super chat.
excuse me about that. Also, we got another super chat. Rob sent a $5 sticker. Rob, like I said, brother, just say less, and I'll put down the anchor for you to come on the board. I also want to bring up here. This is one of the founders of BMT, Miss Marvina Case. And giving you a short summary, she's a self-made businesswoman, traveled the world, has an orphanage in Africa, a millionaire at that, literally has a family, interracially married, survived through trauma and abuse from Gary, Indiana. Y'all, if y'all know about Gary, Indiana, boy, seems like everything comes from Gary, Indiana. But literally, this woman helped us develop the craft of what BMT is today as one of the pinnacle pillars towards the channel. She's fell back to go take care of more other stuff, political wise. I think she was handling people crossing the border and trying to kidnap women. So she was handling that on a political level, as well as children being bullied and racially and sexually targeted in school. So she's literally boots on ground for a lot of stuff and influence. And she's joined us today. So, like I said, we're joined also by her today, Miss Marvina Case, one of the founders of BMT. But yeah, Brother Rob, just let me know. I'll be reading the chat to make sure if you want to come up, I can definitely put you up. Kelly, and we also have, I think Danny, you was going to say something. Then we get it to Kelly and Caroline. Go ahead.
Well, just to what Snafu was saying, as far as, this is something worldwide and propaganda and the elites. Exactly. I would like for us to focus specifically on America, but just to your point, you're talking about what you just described is white supremacy. And what is white supremacy is you talking about the banking system worldwide, the world bank.
But it's not white supremacy either. What about all the other entities? It doesn't have to be specifically white supremacy.
I let you talk, and I did interrupt you, so don't.
I know, but you're putting words in my mouth.
I know, but let me finish.
You're putting words in my mouth, though. I never said white supremacy.
I don't care, but let me finish.
That's words in my mouth. I never said that.
Educate me. Let me talk. Thank you.
I know, but I'm just saying I never said. Why you're looking at one race? Why are you looking at one race only, though?
I said what you described.
I know, but you look at one race. It seems like you have an agenda. It seems like you have an agenda.
Can you stop interrupting? I don't need your fucking input.
No, I know that. I know that.
But I'm not going to sit up here and keep being interrupted when I did not interrupt you.
I get it. I'm just saying you're putting words in my mouth.
I said what you just described to me and to a lot of other people. And by the way, I could back it up with actual facts, is white supremacy. Because when you're talking about propaganda, you're talking about the elites. You're talking about people who control banking worldwide. If you want to talk about the
it comes in all colors, baby. It comes in all colors. Comes in all colors.
Mute him, because I'm not going to sit up here and constantly be interrupted when I'm talking.
I'm just saying it comes in all colors, son. You're looking at it one color. You're looking at it one color.
You just shut the hell up and let me talk. I don't give a fuck what you say.
I know you don't. I know you don't.
I'll let you know, but you need to. I'm telling you, if I'm being polite and I'm not interrupting anybody, goddamn it, when I'm talking, don't interrupt me. We are not.
Don't put words in people's mouths. Don't put words in people's mouths.
Stop doing that. I don't care, sir. You cannot tell me anything. You cannot educate me. You said what you said. Now let me say what I'm saying. Be quiet. Put your fucking mute on.
See, why do you not like when people talk back as far as saying, please don't put words in my mouth? When I talked about it, I meant every color, every race. You know, but with you, elites seem to be only white. Are you saying that elites are only whites? Is that what you're saying?
I'm using what.
Are you saying that elites are only whites? That's a simple question. Are you saying elites are only whites?
Control the fucking panel and stop fucking interrupt me, because you would listen to what the hell I gotta say if you let me finish. Then you could go.
Okay, well I'm just saying. Are you?
Fucking retarded,
go ahead.
Or you just want to sit up here and hear yourself talk?
No, go ahead.
Damn.
No, I'm correcting you. Don't put words in my mouth.
He's talking about. What he was talking about, propaganda. You use the word propaganda. You use the word the elites. And if you want to talk about white supremacy, that's exactly what it is. Because if you talk about the creation of Israel, because he's doing globally here, if you're talking about the Berlin Conference, which you should, whatever snafu you should know about, when you're talking about when you have these people going into countries and dominating and controlling, colonizing. You know what I'm saying? This is exactly when you were talking about anti-racism. You cannot say that color doesn't matter.
So like in the Congo in Africa, when children are being raped and murdered by other black people, you don't think that goes down? You just think it's all whites? All these whites are killing everyone. Oh my God, the whites are after us all. The whites are going to kill us.
That's not going to work. You cannot out-talk me or over-talk me or be louder than me.
That's how I see it.
Okay, let's get it down to Kelly.
What the fuck they're trying to get their point across. I don't know who you think you're talking to, but I'm way more intelligent than you are.
I see that. I see that from listening to you. I see that from listening to you.
That's why you're constantly trying to interrupt me because you're trying to knock off what the fuck I'm trying to say.
Okay.
So if you want
to mute my mic, buddy.
And then you
okay.
Or you just want to get mute the fucking mic. That's what I asked you in the beginning.
So, all right. Kelly, are you here?
No, I didn't even finish what I said. And I'm just saying, if we want to talk, stop interrupting people.
Okay.
I didn't interrupt not one person.
All right. Dana, what were you trying to convey to them?
No, I'm not trying. What the fuck I said was, when
you don't have to curse. I'm right here. I'm right here.
About propaganda because I asked you to control your panel.
Okay, I'm controlling my panel, but you don't have Dana.
Trying to interrupt somebody.
I get you with controlling the panel. But here's the thing: we can't be cursing at each other. That little.
I know that, but the fact is that if someone's constantly disrespecting a person, because that was straight up disrespect over and over again.
Now
check the panel.
Dana, I'm checking the panel by letting you know, and I'm letting him know he's muted. He already got the message. No. But he's already. But listen. I'm already.
But you could have muted
But see, the thing about it.
Go ahead. You know what? Go ahead, BMT, because I'm not here for this BS. But go ahead. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to be cursing.
Here we go.
But control your panel. If people are interrupting, including me, mute people mic.
We're here.
That's it.
We're here. Okay.
Calm down.
No, don't play with me like that.
But I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But you act.
He literally sat up here and cut me off, and that is the tactic people trying to do to try to distract you for what the hell you're trying to say.
Dana.
And you can't do that with me. So if you want to sit up here and say we all need to respect each other and so-called solutions and express our opinions and perspectives, then people got to let people talk.
Okay. Now that we're here, like I said, I knew this was going to come about, Caroline. Like when we have the talk about race.
Nigga, I'm not about to have a stroke. Don't play with me.
Don't read the chat, Dan. Don't read the chat.
No, I'm replying.
Okay. Now the thing about it is this. See, like I said, I'm just doing like Michelle, drinking my beer. I'm at peace. Y'all, nobody's going to disturb my peace. I want y'all to understand. Listen, let me do this rule. Let's have this one rule. Let's focus on the U.S. When I fought for the country, I wasn't fighting for any other country but the U.S. When I was doggone talking about politics and schooling, I'm talking about the U.S. I don't want to broaden it anywhere else. I want to just keep it focused on here. Okay, I want to just keep it focused on where I'm at right now, the U.S. of A. That's where my granddaddy and a lot of other people died. Can we agree on that? That we're just focusing on the U.S. of A right now, where we're at. We're at. So that's where we're going to have to focus on. Okay, so that way we can keep the peace. There's got to be some rules to that. I understand. You know, we're at that point. I know some people looking at BMT. Why aren't you yelling at people? I'm not going to yell. Not today. I'm not going to yell. But I also understand that there's a lot of stuff that needs to be conveyed, and you're dealing with different entities of people that are up here. That's why Nichelle said, and Nichelle literally shout out to Nichelle for doing that. She brought up you would have to go to deal with the courts. Not any other court in the world. They're going to ask you, did you go to that state first? And then you're going to probably go up to the federal level to go petition what you want. So you're going to have to deal with different people. And there are more other people that don't look like you as you go higher up on the totem pole that you're going to have to convey your message. Okay? So we have Kelly, and we also have Marvina, and I haven't got the Iori, I haven't got the Caroline and Marvina. So go ahead, Kelly. You've already heard what's going on. You guys, if you want to donate, you can donate right there. I haven't checked it yet, but like I said, it's a very simple. I'm not sure if it's that big of a deal. It's anti-racism, the plight, helping strengthen minorities. It's us saying that we don't want to deal with no more racism stuff. Is that honestly strengthening minorities, or is it making us a little bit too sensitive towards hearing something uttered out about race, culture, demographics, whatever? Go ahead.
Man, this is super emotional, and
yeah.
I have the I think an advantage in the aspect of I have a Black son, and he is able to, what I don't understand, he can convey, which has been very helpful for my whole family. You know, I will say, a lot of white people are very ignorant. I don't know if it's directly being malicious or they just don't know. Or do they care? Throughout history, are they savage? Absolutely. That's been shown to us. So I try to, I don't have this thing called white guilt, but do I have empathy? Absolutely. So I don't know how many days, how many years. I mean, we just don't have time. We're at the end of the road. So either we're going to fix this, make the playing field equal, or we're just going to blow this whole motherfucker up. I mean, that's where we're at. That's just my opinion.
Now, Kelly, if you don't mind me, we've had a talk with your son.
Yes.
You have a biracial son.
Yes.
And he's very I'm supposed to be bringing him on the show. Him and Mo's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, believe it or not, everyone, they actually empathize and they agree with Black Lives Matter. I know I was supposed to bring them up, but they are with them on it. These younger generations, regardless of how older people feel, the younger generation, they're like, I don't see nothing wrong with shit. That's their movement. Regardless of what we're saying, the younger class generation of, like how Michelle said, the college kids, they're doing their own movement. Just like, whether y'all want to hear it or not, there were older people that told those kids that don't go down to Selma, don't do this, don't do that. They're like, nah, hell with that. We're going to go out there. We're going to go out there and put up a fight. So now you got the younger generation. That I get the older people are like, Black Lives Matter, this and that. But those are younger people out there. I've been to those rallies. Those are younger people out there. They do not care anything what the older people have to say. They're like, nah. Just like them younger white kids from Florida that were marching about gun violence, they didn't care what anybody had to say. These younger generation these days, they're like, old people, move out the way. We're going to do what we want to do. You had your shot. Now it's our turn. And ain't nothing you can tell them. What'd you say in the show?
I'm part of the X generation. I said I'm part of the X generation.
Yes, ma'am.
And I remember when we were in North Carolina, we were right there at the heart, the birth of the Student Nonviolent Coalition. We're there. We're talking to those that walk the walk. And they told us, when we started protesting, they told us, sit down and shut up. We didn't know how good we had it. Our kids, my children are Generation Z, the millennials. They are not like our grandparents or our parents that said, things got a whole lot better during our lifetime. Things have not gotten a whole lot better during my lifetime. I've made my life a whole lot better, but I see other people around me still suffering from police brutality, still suffering from inequality in the court system. And I'm not talking all Black people. I see that poor white people are treated to the same disdain as some of the richest Black people. It is apparent that the elites keep us fighting from one another against one another. There's a whole ideology that some Black people have things that they don't deserve. They were given an extra edge up. The more we focus on, well, what can we do to equal the playing field, the more others feel as if things are being taken away from them. They'll point to the Asians. The Asians are not saying, we need reparations for the way we've been treated. And I sit up there, I get my nails done by Asians all the time. So I don't believe the hype that all Asians are smart, that they're all at Berkeley, they're all at Harvard.
No.
There are struggling Asians out there. But at some point in time, Asians, hey, I'm just saying, we as Black people need to accept one thing that we don't like to accept. There's classism in the African American community. There is. But the classism doesn't work to leadership. It winds up you getting people constantly saying, you think you're better than me. We are still experiencing the crab in the bucket syndrome. Our children are out there, young people are out there protesting without any leadership because so many of our intelligent, older, experienced people are not leading. They're sitting up there trying to hold on to what little crumbs that they have.
I want to hit on that, but somebody said about Kelly, and I called him biracial, but he claims both sides, his white side and his black side. He's not ashamed of it. Bambino's very, very highly smart. He claimed both sides. I don't think that's the thing about it. I'm not sure if I need to go do a biracial panel. I could maybe go talk to a few people who have biracial children, and I mean, Marvina has biracial children, and so does Kelly, and I know, and my niece is biracial. So I'm gonna tell you right now, for a lot of the biracial children that I do know, I've never really ever heard them try to downplay their black side, especially in this day and age. If anything, they kind of wear like, yo, it's mine, I'm proud of being black. Like, it's not like they're ashamed of, if I can get by and pass off. No, they literally will let their friends know, like, yo, I'm black. I'm also black, but I'm white. I don't want you to think that, so they literally let people know, and they kind of feel some type of way, like, because you gotta understand, they got their little thing, and I hate when people try to tell them that they need to choose a side, but it's kind of crazy because you're trying to tell somebody who literally is the avatar of both sides to choose a side, and I it's just not me to do that, because you gotta understand there are more biracial children running around, actually a lot of biracial people running around in the country more than ever, and I think like, again, a lot of them are saying like and I gotta be real, we do have a classism issue. But I know the era where that spawned at for the classism. When some people could have got out of the community, they took it and they ran. And then they said, if you follow me, you'll be okay. But they weren't trying to help those blacks rise out of the poverty level. They were just keeping them there. So there was a lot of
Marvina, no offense to Marvina, no offense to Kelly. But I do think the term biracial is short-sighted, because what if your son has a child with a black woman? What is that child going to be called?
Let me make this clear, and I'm going to answer this for the chat too. I address my son with what he wants to be identified. He's black. That's what he'll tell you. Yes, he will acknowledge the fact that he has a white mother, but in his mind, he's black. He doesn't, that's the side he identifies with more, and that's what he, per se, reps for. So it is what it is.
And I'll also add, Kelly, is that that's what he identifies, that's what he reps for. And also, would you agree that that is what society here in America judge him on as a black man?
Absolutely, because if you look at him, you're not going to be able to tell.
Yeah, trust me.
Right.
I thought that was just a black kid.
So when people say, oh, let's not look at color, let's spread love. Well, you can't start to be kumbaya if A, you don't know your history, if you don't understand the concept of why we are at where we're at today, what you as a mother and what I have as a mother have to face raising black boys into men, you know. So it's not the conversation today is not about love. It's really, I think people really need to starting with understanding history, the right history. When we're talking about public policies, when we're talking about the sugar nexus, the Berlin Conference, Cotton is King, Jim Crow, centuries of oppression, right? So how and the problem that I have is how can we expect for black people to be on code when we always had a knee in our necks?
And I think also we have made a comment that there are more biracial children now than ever. That's not true. During slavery, mulattoes were the norm for the house. Mulattoes were the norm. Whether your wife brought in her siblings, as Thomas Jefferson's wife did, there have been mulattoes. And that was a term of hierarchy, classism, that we stopped it at one point in time and just said, okay, they're mixed. We're not going to even go through whether you're part Hispanic, part Asian. You're just mixed. You're mixture of races.
That would be biracial, Nichelle. That's biracial.
No, I'm not talking about biracial. I'm talking about the quadroon. I'm talking about the octoroons. That's the way they used to break it down, because there was a class hierarchy based on whether or not how much white DNA you had in your body. That one of the things about mulatto children, they had a direct parentage. That in the United States, it got so bad that they used to force the Irish indentured servants. I'm going to say this one more time. They were not slaves. They were indentured servants. These
and they
women,
got reparations.
The women that had children during the time that they were indentured servants, those children could be freed at 21 or 24, depending on the state.
That's nice.
But as long as their lineage was traced to another indentured servant, the children of indentured servants were not committed for life. So they started breeding the white Irish women with the black male slaves and tracing the lineage through the father so that they could have these mulatto children or these quadroon children, because it turned out that in the United States, if your mother was a indentured servant or a free white woman, you were free. Like Benjamin Banneker, his father was a slave, but his mother was a free white woman, so he became a free black man. If your mother was an indentured servant, you were a mulatto, and that meant that you only served until you were 21 or 24. So now that
I have a question. What is the point with the biracialness in this?
No. I think we're getting off from that, but I'm just saying that as far as I think one of the points that when we're looking at is when we start talking about the anti-racism. One thing I have noticed, and I'm going to throw this out there, some of the leaders of these new factions, Dana, they're biracial. They're biracial kids. That's amazing me. Like it's
what they. Like, I don't. Okay, you know what? And when you told me about this topic, you keep saying anti-racism. What do you mean by anti? Like we should have anti-racism, fighting for anti-racism. Okay. What are you talking about when you say anti-racism?
I'm glad you asked about that. And I'll pull it up. So literally, if you don't mind me sharing sharing the message, I'm gonna share the message before I pass it on over there. Going. So in the messenger, I had a brother named Mario Ayala. We talked before on political justice and science, and literally he brought to me about a topic that it amazes me that there's always one of these guys. Anti-racism hurts blacks worse than racism itself. He wanted me to sit there and listen to the video, and I asked him, I'm watching the video, but asking what is the main point you're trying to convey to me. He said, well, watch the completion before sending a comment. I watched it, finished, and didn't give me a solution. All he told me about was the stats of Chicago, like always. He told me about Tamir Rice and different other stuff. And he told me that, hey, at the same time Tamir Rice got shot, little Tommy got shot. At the same time this got shot, that kid got shot. And I said, okay, you're telling me all this stuff. And it's not that I don't care. I want you to understand this. And I'm not being cold and savage. It's not that I don't care about other children of other diasporas being shot or killed or dead. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to save mine first. And I have to. Because my demographic is diminishing. My children are not in their homes like that anymore. We got more of our children in foster care and out there being sold and sex trafficked and killed off. So if I know that sounds fucked up, and I don't regret saying it, but I'm going to risk my life. If I had to choose between somebody else's child and a black baby, I'm going to die for that black baby without even thinking about it. Because literally, our children are dying faster out there. Like when I was growing up, we had the quota that you'll be lucky if you make it to 21. But that's just how fast a lot of our boys were dropping. They were just running out there dying for streets that we were never going to own. So I literally asked him, he said this was condensed clip. I said I wasn't going to watch the whole thing. He said you can look up John Motor. That's another. There's a lot of blacks that are pretty much preaching about, anti-racism. Again, so he's saying anti-racism hurts black people. How
so?
That's what listen. He said anti-racism hurts black people.
Okay, did you read or listen to what he's saying with that? Because what did he say? How so?
Because he says by us having anti-racism pep rallies to try to squash out racism, it is making the future generations that literally deal with racism more weak to dealing with the issues of racism. Like literally, they can't handle whenever somebody calls them something. Like they sing, you hear a white girl sing a song, say the N-word, everybody freaks the fuck out, and everybody has to go feel like they got to bash her brain in. But then you'll have black on black crime, which I heard in the video. He'll say there are more black people killing black people, raping and pillaging black people, but yet y'all have more smoke for anti-racism, but you don't have smoke for clearing up your own. So I am doing the rebuttal to John McWhorter about this type of video, because I know he's going to be seeing this soon when they send it to him. Listen, I don't think anti-racism is hurting black people, because it's literally been the fight that we've been fighting since we've been here. We've been fighting this goddamn fight for over too many goddamn years before I was born, and we'll probably be fighting it after I die. And literally, it's not been hurting us. It's literally now that it's hurting other people's feelings that we keep bringing it up, and now they have to wait. I got to watch what I say when I say something to a black person. So when you make a comment or a joke about my fucking dreads or somebody that looks like me, or you say, guess what? All of y'all are alike and shit. Understand, now all of a sudden there is a pushback. So I have no problem with us addressing this shit. Because if I were to say something about a woman in the workforce, guess what? There's a backlash. If I were to say something about a certain class in the workforce, there's a backlash. If you were to say something about a black in certain types of jokes, guess what? There is no backlash. So guess what? That means now your feet are being held to the fire and people don't like it. But, oh, wait. Now you can't have your token black guys anymore. Listen, I'm not going to play the token goddamn fetch a nigga anymore. I'm not playing that shit.
Okay, so now I understand what you're saying. And I agree with you because of the fact that let's flip it, because when I see particularly black people A lot of people say things and they have these titles for content purposes, just for the views, for sensationalism. Anti-racism hurts black people more than racism. What you're saying with that, you're basically saying you're trying to wipe away racism here in America. That's what you're saying with that. And what you're also saying is the fact that, racism is not that bad. So if you reverse it, and you see the hypocrisy and you trying to say that anti-racism hurts us more, and it's like, no, this is why we are having this discussion, and in the place that we're at now is because of racism, and how with propaganda, which that anti-racism BS is, you're trying to flip it to wipe away the history of America here. No, I want us to talk about racism. What is anti-racism? How is that ever hurting black people more than racism? Racism is the one that created policies that made us disenfranchised, that's making us poor, where we live in communities where a lot of people don't have jobs, so the crime is high. And I'm tired of even people saying black on black crime, because you know what? It's white on white crime, Asians on Asian crimes, but propaganda with the media puts it out there and people just eat it up and believe it. You realize that you are going to be attacked or be murdered by the people who live in your proximity, which is, if you live around a whole bunch of rednecks and you're a redneck, you're going to get killed probably by a redneck or robbed. Same for with black people. So there is no such thing as black on black, as if there's nothing else.
I agree, Dana.
May
So
I
again, when
say
people
something?
say
too?
anti-racism, that kumbaya, miss me with that BS, because you're too afraid to actually speak the truth and talk about the moral monsters of white people here in America.
So Henry, let me get it over to Caroline. Caroline, you've been waiting so patiently there. You're one of the reasons why we're having this conversation, especially when it came to the kneeling. I remember you had something to say about people kneeling, because we've been seeing a lot of minorities start to kneel, and they've been wearing T-shirts, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, different other stuff. After the moment of silence, they've been taking a knee. They don't want to stand up for the pledge, and I'll let you take it from there. Go ahead, Caroline.
So where I got with this conversation, and I agree with the ladies that spoke. There definitely needs to be the conversations, and for me, at least, in the environment that I'm in, the eyes that I've seen, and the experiences I've had, we cannot get anywhere until we can have these conversations and see the fault in, the system, the systemic hurt, the systemic injustice, and from where I'm coming from, what I see and what I've experienced is, yes, these communities are getting torn up. People that are already hurting and suffering and stuck and, experiencing disparages and disparities and pain and suffering and injustice. We're not going to get anywhere until we can get to a point to where we understand that there are so many people that are seeing the pain, that are understanding, that are feeling it in so much higher volumes right now, because of the fact that it is so systemic. The people that have done all this hurt and that are responsible for these things are still going unchecked. They're free. People are waiting for their families to get justice. People are waiting for their families to get equality, to be heard, to have a voice, to be represented. And it's not. It's just not represented. The younger generations are definitely going in the direction where they're wilding out, on both sides. And these kids don't understand what it was like even in my generation, where, as BMT said, as others have said, young men didn't succeed. They didn't survive. It happened. It happened all the time. It happened everywhere, and to get forward, we have to be able to acknowledge each other and acknowledge this hurt and say, I hear you. I feel your pain. I see the injustice. I see the inequality. I see the differences. One of my best friends, as Kelly has, and BMT, as you said, you've got family that, they are of dual ancestry and they identify as melanated people because they look different than from their family. They've experienced the differences in the way their siblings are treated to their face, and that hurt and that pain and that injustice. And, we're living in a biblical age. We have, at this point, all of the right people in the right place and in the right time to actually affect a change. I feel that, the solidarity of ending the brutality by kneeling, because for me, I don't kneel to anybody but God at all. That does not invalidate my compassion and my hurt as a mother for women that have children that are scared every day, that worry about their children every day. People need to be able to understand what other people deal with and to know that it's wrong and to speak on it and to be active, to put your heart out there, to put yourself out there, stand for other people, stand and say, I hear you and I feel you. But I don't kneel to anybody but God. And to me, that is deceptive and it's insidious, because God asks you to stand and feel the pain of others. Stand and feel, be present. Don't be afraid of the people that are going to come at you because you're bucking the system. You're speaking out in places that other people are going to hurt you for. They're going to kill you. They're going to take your life. It doesn't matter whether they look like me, whether they look like Snaps, whether they look like Kelly, because it's that serious. And people, we got to be able to understand each other and listen and hear and have eyes to see and ears to hear and discernment and heart to see that this is biblical and we're at a very hard turning point that we're not going to be able to come back from if we can't get past it.
Like I said, and thank you for that, Caroline. Go ahead, Iori.
I'll go
Yeah,
next,
yeah.
BMT.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So, going back to this whole thing about, let me just basically get the topic up so I can stay on topic. Hold on one second. All right. So, the whole thing about anti-racism and then the kneeling thing, right? All right. So, the thing is, we should always fight against racism, and I'm for that. My issue now is, are we going to get symbolic victories or are we going to get concrete victories? Because for me, getting, for example, Juneteenth be a holiday is not the type of victory that I'm looking for, right? The types of victories that I'm looking for is, for example, I was talking to a buddy of mine about this. They always talk about, and Obama kind of put lip service on this when he was a lame duck president. They always talk about nonviolent criminals and drug offenses, right? That's a buzzword. But my issue with what they were doing is that it was lip service. to be honest, if we're going to get something out of a situation like that, I feel like everybody that was convicted of a nonviolent drug crime on something like pot or something else should be not only given their freedom, should not only be had their record expunged, but they should have continual restitution for the time that was lost within their life for something that was a technicality that they were not found guilty of. They were found guilty in a court of law, but technically they weren't guilty of any sort of crime, right? There's technicalities here. So when I'm talking about being anti-racist, I'm not talking about, Black Lives Matter and this, that, and the other. That is fine. But that's level one of the situation. The other thing is, we have to go talk about the fact that there are people that are putting themselves out there that don't need to be put out there. Technically, what I mean is these younger white people, these younger Latino people that are actually doing what they're doing should be commended for what they're doing. But my whole thing is that we can't just say Black Lives Matter and have all these symbolic gestures without having a true conversation
Tangibles.
of what tangible solutions look like. That's where the whole anti-racism plight or whatever, that's how I answer that. We can go ahead and sit and do all this other stuff about, okay, I'm with you, I see you, this, that, and the other. But seeing is one thing and doing something is another. What we have to do is we have to focus on what the solutions to these problems look like, because what's going to end up happening is America is going to be standing up next to a wall, and no matter how many times you want to run up against that wall to break it down, you're just going to end up with your head being hurt. The only way to break down that wall is to have tangible solutions. Now, on the whole kneeling thing, okay? Sometimes you stand up by sitting down. If you want to go ahead and stand up and you feel that your faith tells you that, that's fine. But that does not for a minute invalidate somebody else who is sitting down or kneeling or truly trying to find a way to make this country what it should be. This whole thing about patriotism. Okay, you should stand for your flag. You should do this. You should do that. Okay, that's fine. Look, I have no problem with standing for the flag if the flag stands up for me. Now, there are plenty of people who feel like their flag never stood up for them. And for them, they have the right and they should be given the right to go ahead and peacefully protest however you want to do that. Now, there are a lot of people that say, oh, well, look at those Black people that are burning down city blocks, this, that, and the other, right? That's what people say. Everybody here is not for arson. But the thing is, we have to really figure out who the arsonist is. Because a news report says that the arsonist was Black, the arsonist might not have been Black. It might have been a white person that was an arsonist. And then there might have been somebody who said that the arsonist was white, and it might be somebody who was Black. What I'm trying to say here is we have to talk about these issues one by one and with proper context. See, when you look at all these types of things, you've got all these media narratives that say whatever they're going to say. But the truth of the matter is not the media narrative. The truth of the matter requires digging, true, honest digging. Okay, and this whole thing about reparations, I'm fine with reparations, but I feel like reparations has to be in a long-term restitutional nature. We can't just get one piece of a check and say, okay, like we're going to go get reparations and it's going to be once and you guys better negotiate. No, 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 no. We ain't going to do that. This racist thing that happened in America was continual. So what is required is continual financial contributions until we get to a point of parity. We do that with foreign aid all the time, don't we? How come all of a sudden now we want to do it with one check when we've had hundreds of years of issues? Okay, so that's
Can I also say something to
answer all
Ori's?
those things. But go ahead.
So
Everything you just said, I 1000% agree. And I just want to highlight one thing, and which I didn't even mention, and I should have, but you did. Tangibles. The problem that I'm having is when we black people start talking about tangibles, that's when we get a lot of opposition. And that's the problem I have. That is why I get emotional. That is why I get very stern when people want to push back when we fight for and want and deserve tangibles. And I have a problem when black people don't even fight for that, because yes, you do have to mobilize because that's get the attention. But you got to have people sitting at that table in City Hall on your local, state, and federal level fighting for those tangibles. You have to have both. It can't just be protesting.
Now, question, B. I'm about to pass it over to Marvina. The thing about now, I'm looking at what Caroline and Snafu, they were asking about the taking a knee. And literally a lot of the taking a knee.
I want to say something real quick, BMT, before
What's
I
up?
forget. This whole thing about a skin versus sin privilege, it's both. And you can't say it's one without the other, because in a lot of ways, it's a sin privilege because it's a skin privilege. It's a skin privilege first and a sin privilege afterwards. But go ahead, BMT.
Exactly.
So the thing about it is this: do you think that if there was a reparational, tangible like payback, that these people would possibly probably feel like, okay, these things are starting to be mended? Because I'm hearing people like I said, reason why people go so hard, a lot of these people, whether they are NBA or whatever players or whatever stuff, a lot of these people come from poor, impoverished places. No matter what, they all come from poverty. And they know one slip up, one ankle, one twist, one bad day, they go back. So they have to keep on competing. And I know one of the favorite things to bring up is Planned Parenthood. Oh Lord, that is the Dracula of the talk. But I actually got to
Planned Parenthood. Why?
Now, because they think that a lot of black women are still killing off babies. Now that's interesting.
Well, let's insert that, because, and not just I don't want to talk about Planned Parenthood or abortion, but the fact is that when you're talking about a high number, and again, going on black, they want to zone in on black people, and they don't have the numbers for the white people, but whatever. If let's just talk about abortion, ask the question, why is she having an abortion? Because she likes to have an abortion, or because she don't have money or food to feed and take care of her child? Where are the tangibles for that?
Now,
see, if you have money, if you have a man that is able to have a job and have a career and not be put in jail over something so small for 10 plus years, and the child can have a father, if you have social service help that everybody else is getting, white immigrants and everybody else except for black people, when you have those things put in place, you will have a very low rate of abortion. So we have to stop focusing on what someone is doing, but why they're doing it. And I think, D. Darrell, you could kind of break that down as to the why behind things.
Now, that's only, like I said, I've already talked. I did the interview, but I deleted it. I deleted the interview about it was with a woman. She just finished getting her first abortion.
Wow.
And I did it. I did a show with her, and I deleted the show. And I asked her, why did you get an abortion? No, actually, I didn't ask her throughout the whole show. I didn't even ask her. And I said that, you know what?
And you should have.
Hold on. No. Sometimes you got to understand, when people come out of that clinic, there's already something.
Well, you're doing an interview with her. If she sat down and agreed to do an interview, that should have been one of your questions.
But here's the thing. Hang on, Dana. She brought it to me like, why didn't you ask me about why I got an abortion? But I was like, well, if you was ready to tell me, you would have told me why you came. So she said, well, I was afraid. I didn't have nobody to help me. He got cold feet on me. He waited till he said he said he was going to be with me. He was with me for the first 2 months, and then I stopped seeing him less and less. And then I would call him, and guess what? He would pick up less and less. And then I would go by his parents' house. He wasn't there, and then ghost. I just couldn't, and I can no longer find him.
Hey, BMT.
They don't
Hey,
talk
BMT.
about a lot of the issues that create the environment for the female to do that. I mean, you have to look at the fact of, me and you had this discussion in regards to that number, in regards to the amount of black women that repetitively get abortions. You see that,
right.
That number is a little bit skewed in a sense, because
I know.
Hey, BMT, you guys have heard of adrenochrome, and you guys have seen the Google algorithms with a lot of these sex trafficking rings, and abortion is linked to a lot of this stuff. That's why you saw some of these legislation and bills being put through on, like, even after the baby is born type stuff. You could still like let it sit there, decide if you want to abort it or not. 3 minutes plus. I'm just saying this goes deeper than you got. Like, even just like whether the woman wants abortion or not. Why are they pushing the abortions period?
Now, Snafu,
and funding them.
Snafu, I want to save that for another talk, where if you want to have the abortion talk, I will do that with you.
I'm just telling you, this goes deep, man, and adrenochrome and things like that.
I'm willing to. Let me push it down. Let me get it to Marvina, but she's been waiting
for sure,
and she's one of the owners of BMT. Marvina, I do apologize, boss lady, for keeping you waiting. I know you guys have been very patient. Are you there, Miss Marvina? I think she's in a bad area.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry,
okay, boss.
On mute.
okay, boss lady. You've been hearing everything that's been said so far out throughout this show, and I know you had a lot to say. So,
I just want to say I understand everybody's view, and I understand the different places that people are coming from. A lot has to do with education, experience, and whether or not how old you are and how much experience you have, and whether or not you've been outside the country and you know how America is compared to other places. On the kneeling, people have a right to do what they want. If they want to kneel, then kneel. If they don't want to kneel, then don't kneel. That's your right. I mean, it's a free country, but just understand, for me personally, I kneel before no one other than God. That's my belief. But I don't expect everyone else to have my beliefs. I also expect if you're going to do something at your job, then you should understand that there's consequences to those actions. Right. If I were to kneel in the middle of my job, and my job was a heart surgeon, and someone died because I decided to kneel, I'm responsible for those actions. When someone hires you to be an entertainer, you're supposed to entertain. People watch sports because they want to get away from their problems. So if you're preventing that entertainment, it may eventually prevent you from having a job, and that's your choice. Right. If that's what people choose to do. So I don't have a problem with people that do it. I just think that if you really want to make a difference, then do something besides taking a knee. Do something in your community. Put your money where your mouth is. Do something. Taking a knee doesn't do anything. Everyone's seen it. We saw it with Kaepernick. We saw it with other people saying, I'm against something, but then they continue to go back to their plush, nice homes while people are on the streets dying and nothing's being done. It's great to say something, but it makes more of a difference when you do something. So that's my issue with that. But I don't have anything against them taking a knee. That's their right. It's America.
Now, question, Miss Case, about the anti-racism plight helping strengthen minorities. What do you feel about that, ma'am?
Racism is going to exist no matter what. people will find a reason to dislike you, whether if it's you're black, you're white. I mean, people say there's no racism in the black community. There is most definitely racism in the black community. And they say black people don't have power. You have power depending on where you live. In Gary, Indiana, if you're black, you control the area. If you're a white person there, black people can be racist towards you because you are the minority. So it really just depends on where you're at, how much power you have. As far as racism truly affecting anything, does it stop you from getting ahead? No. It just means that you have to have a little bit more tenacity and take a little bit more effort. But do you honestly want to work for someone who doesn't respect you and doesn't think you have something going for you? Wouldn't you rather do it on your own? The main problem I have with anybody tout, no, racism is this, racism is that, is it's going to be here forever. People are always going to dislike someone because they're different. Until we all look the exact same way, we're all the same color. And even then, you're going to find that someone's going to like someone because they have a different eye shape, or their fingernails are shaped this way, or it sounds so stupid, but their earlobes aren't attached as opposed to being unattached. So someone's going to find a reason to separate and dislike.
Okay.
I just don't see it as a problem today. I don't believe that racism has prevented me from being successful. And I believe, honestly, if I can do it, so can everyone else, because I had everything going against me that you possibly could. Everything. I'm handicapped. I am dark brown. I am 6'4". I weigh 240 pounds. I am legally blind. I have giganticism. I've been shot. I've been raped. I had cancer. And I'm from Gary, Indiana. And you know what? I did it. So I don't like excuses. And I think the main problem that we have as a community and as Black people is victimhood. We want to sit here and talk about what we don't have, what we didn't have, what other people have. Well, guess what? We're equally loved. We're not equally gifted, and everybody isn't born the same. Even white people, just because they're white doesn't mean they're going to be successful. You can be successful regardless of where you come from. It's just a matter of you going the extra mile to do it. And if the door is not held open for you, build your own damn door. Build your own house. I did it. Ain't no reason to nobody else. I'm not special. I am not special.
I like what I agree with what you're saying. I like what you're saying, but I would say
it's absolutely true.
Do differ a little bit off. When I do differ a little bit off that, when we're talking about Black people and being successful, yes, we all have an opportunity, especially in 2020, to definitely be successful. Like, it's a whole lot easier for us to be successful as it was 50 years ago. However, you did say something. You was like, it may take more tenacity or more hard work. And that's when you talk about racism, when you talk about inequality. Why is it that when it's Black people, we don't have boots? So when you have, it's always this term, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Black people never have boots. White people have boots. That's the difference. We all should have boots.
I know a lot of Black people in boots.
And then let's go. And
I know a lot of Black people in boots.
Can you stop interrupting me?
I know. I'm just saying I know a lot of Black people in boots.
I'm not finished. You can say it when I'm finished.
All right.
If we all have boots,
they do,
and we choose not to go ahead, or we choose to be successful, okay, fine. But when you have a group of people who never had boots, right, in this country, in America, for centuries, that doesn't just turn overnight. We don't just get boots in 24 hours. It's like a uphill battle. Now, you're always going to have people who just want to be lazy and use the system. I'm not talking about that small percentage, but the overall percentage of Black people, we never had boots. We just got shoelaces, and maybe we're being fitted for the shoes today.
Hey, may I say something here? BMT, I think that, like, I get what you're saying from the history, but everyone, just like the lady said earlier, we all have to work hard. White, Black, blue, green, and this is like
Black
so
people
much.
Have always worked hard. When have we never worked hard?
Exactly. Always have. Always.
Yeah, but the outcomes wasn't always the same as opposed to other people.
We never had the same opportunities.
I get that, but what I'm saying here is like the truth of everything is like when you said you don't want to change history. Well, look what's going on. Even if you agree or don't agree, statues of history are being ripped down. That's trying to change history. I mean, it's like oxymoron in so many aspects of this agended out, race-baited game that really leads to a new world order minus Hulk Hogan in the end. You know, history is repeating itself, guys, is all I'm trying to say. There's far bigger agenda to this than like the lady said, we really all kind of have the same, you know, we're the people, man, versus elites. We have the same get up, and yes, black people have been oppressed and had to work hard, But like, can you vote? Yes, you could vote. Can you work and get a job? Can you become president? Obviously, it happened. Like, what really oppression now versus back then? Yes, maybe a little racial tension between people here and there, and yeah, there's assholes who are racist.
We don't have economic power.
Yes, we do.
No, absolutely do.
We have economic power.
No, we do not.
We do have economic power.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
We don't have economic power because we don't come from generational wealth. We don't come not even from middle class wealth. We don't have
the average. See, this is a common misconception for most black people. The average black person in America is middle class. We are not poor.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, what is middle class? And it's really two classes. It's the poor and it's the wealthy.
When you look at
and then even if you're talking about black people who are middle class, now compare that to a white middle class, and you look at the income and the generational wealth, and it's a very big gap. Every single chart, every single data shows you that if you have an educated black person who graduated and that's a professional, and you have that same educated white person who's a graduate and they are a professional, but you look at their income, you look at their wealth, you look at their debt, and it's a big difference.
Do you know what that is? I'm going to tell you the truth, and a lot of people aren't going to like this. It's because black people don't know their value. See, when I walk let me finish my statement. Let me finish my statement. Let me finish my statement.
Let her finish, then Darrell, and then Dana. Go ahead.
When I walk into an interview, I walk into the interview knowing my value. I know what I'm worth. When you know what you're worth, you get paid what you're worth. When you accept a lower salary, it is a choice to accept that salary because you have decided that is all that you're worth. I am the highest paid person at my company. I've always been the highest paid person because I walk in there like I am the queen and I know what I'm worth. I know what I'm capable of, and I demand to be treated as such and paid as such. And if they don't offer me what I'm worth, I'll move on to somebody that will. So it's an issue of knowing your worth, being able to express yourself and tell people why you deserve to be paid so much money. That's what causes you not to make as much. It's not the color of your skin. It ain't even the way you look. It's knowing your value. And if you have the proof where the pudding is, meaning that if you are worth what you say you're worth, people will continue to pay you to keep you around. Every company I have left has always called me and asked me to come back because they realized my value. So it is whether or not you know your worth. It has nothing to do with the color of your skin. If you don't have value in yourself and you don't think that you're worth it, people aren't going to have value in you. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
I have to.
Go ahead, D. Darrell, because I would like to comment.
I would definitely have to disagree with that. I think that Ms. Marvina is personalizing this from her own experience, but not looking at it for the totality of us as a people. And I'm speaking as a business owner that decides in regards to how much I'm going to pay someone and whether or not they come in and tell me what they feel they're worth or not. One of the reasons why I decided to own my own business because I could not, even knowing my own value and so forth, they refused to pay me what I was worth or refused to elevate me to positions that I was more qualified than people that had higher positions than me. This is the experience of a lot of professional, highly educated, highly skilled black professionals. And one of the biggest reasons is that as a black person, whether you're male or female, you are the least likely to be promoted up, and you will be fired or let's say laid off quicker than other particular groups. You see, we have a difficult time, even if you're overqualified or have the exact amount of qualifications to get higher positions at the executive level and so forth. We as African Americans in these particular companies are the least likely to be promoted up. That is fact. So I have to say that when we have people who make an attempt to minimize race in situations like this, when it involves competition, when your race is used as a tool to shut you out of being competitive. I mean, I think that we're doing the listeners a disservice by saying something based on your own experience.
But did you
Yes,
not
for
just say
you.
something
Oh no,
based on
let
your
me
own
finish. I
experience?
didn't interrupt you, Miss Marvine. I didn't interrupt you. You have to understand, for your experience, that can be true based on you going to the table, and there are other black people who also have the same experience as you. I'm not saying that no other black person has the experience that you have, and because of you knowing your value, you pretty much came in knowing what you were worth, and you demanded it, and you got what you achieved. But the bottom line is that you are a small minority that have had success in doing so. I'm talking in reference to the other 70 or 80% that have the proper qualifications, the proper education, and so forth, and have the experience, and they can't get a job, or if they get the job, they're getting paid wages lower than what they should be getting in comparison to other groups of people. To me, that's racism in itself. The thing that I would say to a professional and so forth, if you feel that you're not getting paid what you want, the reason why, when, as Dana talked about, when you look at a black person with a master's or doctor's degree as opposed to someone else that has a master's and a doctoral degree in the same field, and the white counterpart is making more money, is because of the entrepreneurial aspect of it. The bottom line is what separates us, and why the black professional is not on equal ground, because the black professional needs to start investing more in himself to own his or her own business, and hire other black people that you know are worth a certain amount and pay them. The the majority culture is willing to pay their own people more than they're willing to pay other people, particularly us. And to me, that is one of the biggest reasons that when you look at that income gap, as far as racial inequality in regards to income, is because they're willing to pay their own more than they're willing to pay people that are not. And that's due to racism and structural things, and the matter of they know they can do it and get away with it. That's just facts. I mean, you can
Right.
come in with, yes, I am more intelligent, I have the Ivy League education, I have all of that, but if they don't want to pay you that, they're not going to pay you that. As opposed to somebody else, they're more willing and feel more comfortable with doing so. And looking at it from another situation within myself, since we want to go with anecdotal, personalized situations. Before I went into business for myself, I was the most qualified person to run a community mental health clinic at the particular county I was working in. When I interviewed for the job, most of the people that knew that I was entering to as a candidate for that job, a lot of people thought that I was going to get that job. Turned out, I didn't get the job. A person that was unlicensed as a clinician got the job, and the reason why they got the job is because that person put in so many years in that particular job at that particular business, and she was in a certain network and had certain friends of her own skin of color persuasion that actually talked to the person who hired and was going to promote someone up to get the job. Okay, and I was the most qualified. This person was not even licensed, and she got promoted up to a job that she was actually less qualified than me to get, and actually was actually unqualified, because at first that actual position itself required a license, and they changed the rules so that they can promote her up. That happens commonly in a lot of situations in which black people are not being promoted up for whatever reasons. So to sit here and say and minimize your race and color and so forth as if it doesn't matter or it doesn't have a negative effect. I'm not saying that we shouldn't use that as an excuse to overcome, because we should want to be excellent or phenomenal no matter what. But the problem is that we're the only group of people that have to deal with that when other people don't have to deal with that. So in essence, if other people don't have to deal with that, they have an easier bridge to receive success, as opposed to us having to jump through hoops and go through hell and high water in order to receive the same level of success. So just by logic, you're going to see less of us becoming successful and earning more. So that's pretty much my perspective. I hear what you're saying, Marvina, and I do agree, and I understand you're talking about, and you're reinforcing having a strong work ethic and so forth. And I do agree that we as a people need to strive to be the best we are in order to succeed success. But you just can't, and it's irresponsible to discount the fact of how race plays in this society in regards to, no matter what level of education or skill level that you have, it is going to play some type of influence in a negative way. Now,
It is, and it did.
Yeah, and
It was
did.
intentional. It was intentionally done since the inception of America. And let me just throw a little bit of data. America's racial wealth divide: white people 141,000, Hispanics 13,700, Black people 11,000. Also, recession widens the wealth gap by race. And this is out of 2012. White people 110,000, Asian 69,590, Hispanic 7,424, Black 4,955. Why? Because when you look at the real estate, when you look at entrepreneurship, when you look at high level management positions, it is dominated by white people and Asians. Public policies were put in place decades ago to keep us disenfranchised, and that is a fact. So to your point, Marvina, yes, you have to work harder. Black people have to work even harder. That is not equal justice. You're talking about individualism. I'm talking about a collective.
I'm talking about
so
a
when you do
collective as well.
when you're doing income versus wealth, when you're doing income versus debt as a collective, Black people and white people, we're always at the bottom. It's not because we're lazy. It's not because we don't have ambition. It is because specifically public policies that were put in place so that we could be far behind in the wealth gap.
Explain Nigerians.
And now it's going to take us another 100 years to even catch up, which is why we are owed reparations, not just a check, but public policies directly that is going to help elevate Black people on every aspect.
Now,
explain Nigerians.
Now I want to.
Excuse me.
Nigerians.
I can explain.
What about Nigerians?
Let me
explain Nigerians. You want me to?
Because I'm talking about Americans.
But no, because if it was based on your skin color, if it was based on your skin color, they would.
Nigerians. You know why
Nigerians didn't come here until after 1965 during the Neutralization Act, which Black people fought for to hire the quota for Black people of other countries to come here. So again, when I'm talking about Black people here in America, when I'm talking about Black people here in America, public policies that were put in place in 1619, in 1776, in 1865, in 1885, and in 1964, and in 1985, and in 2020 is to keep us disenfranchised. This is why it's important not just to know history, but to understand why that public policies and why these things happened.
But see, but it's two other things.
I want to ask something, because I want to make sure we have our two special guests, Snafu and
Negro. Kill yourself, or you gonna ask me which policy, Mr. Marcus? Stop. Read a book.
Now, one of the things about it, I know Caroline was saying, she was asking me about giving your life to Christ and coming over to the church. Now, before I do that, I make sure I dug up my old license. Back then when I was licensed. The history of Blacks and connection with the church runs very deep. Very deep. I'm pretty sure at some point every Black person on this panel is affiliated or has some kind of family tie to a church. Inherently, we have a tie to a church. The problem is, in the church has literally had so much influence in government over the Black community that it's literally, it's like if somebody were to die, we don't call the police, the lawyer. It's call mama and call the pastor. Call Bernice and call the pastor. It's like somehow the pastor is literally the end all be all job to like answer everything. And it's literally, I'm not gonna lie, because it's supposed to be a separation of church and state last time I checked. But it amazes me, we keep on seeing, whenever it comes to policies and politics, those politicians always go to the church. And so we're like, wait, are you even working with us or for us, or are you against us? And we watch, like, I kid you not, this is a little joke that we have in the black community. On every corner, you can find the ABC liquor store. And what's right beside the ABC liquor store, y'all? The church.
Church.
That's where the church is at. So we would notice that we would have a lot of churches, and when it comes to believing in the salvation, now I'm not turning nobody from Jesus, but I know my mom was watching. I know my mom and my daddy watching. I'm not turning nobody from that. But the trust in blacks in the church is so bad now that taking the spiritual aspect, it's almost like the bridge has been badly burnt and damaged, because we're watching all these mega pastors and all these mega people from these churches, and we keep give, like literally there's a give it in Jesus' name. But then we're watching people go down to poverty and dying on the street. So that's why that's why when I said my feelings are mixed about it, because the first central government that the black community did learn is literally one of the biggest issues that we're having in the community. Does that make any sense for y'all when we talk about the religious and the sin aspect? Like, some of our biggest like crime committers in the community.
Right. Hey, BMT, you know, when you said about the church, you know, and I think it goes for the church worldwide. And let me just explain that in a sense, like even COPA rules. You're a YouTuber, okay? You're here on YouTube, you're live streaming. When COPA law came out, that basically told all the content creators, look, you cannot do family-oriented stuff anymore. You can't do happy birthday or whatever the hell it's going to be, or dress up as, who knows, Barney. Who knows what they're doing nowadays. The fact is they said family-oriented content we're no longer going to promote. We're no longer going to pay you, which even in a capitalist country, we're no longer going to do that. We're going to only promote those who are non-family oriented. Is this for children or not? The COPA laws. Like I said, the world stage is being set. And I'm telling you, when I talked about infiltration, the church, no matter if it's the black community, white community, the Catholic, this or that, the churches have been infiltrated, including the Bible itself. And you might be like, oh, what is Snap's talking about? But if you've ever looked it up, you go look up the Mandela effect and Bible changes, and I'll tell you that stuff exists. It always used to be the lion lays with the lamb. My Lord never hissed like a snake, like Isaiah 7:18 says now. And that's with CERN and everything going on in the world, man. The Mandela effect Bible changes. The church, though, has been infiltrated just as much as anything else, dude. We are witnessing the rise of the Antichrist, a new world order, man. That's why I said it's both political, racial. It's even on a spectrum of supernatural now. And I'm telling you, Mandela effect, Bible change. Check it out, man. It's real.
So right here, I'm showing this before I show Dana's info that I wanted to push out for y'all.
No such thing as the Antichrist, but go ahead.
Now, literally, we covered this story right here, where we had a mega church, Pastor Jamal Bryant. Now, for most of us, we know who he is. At the time when COVID was picking up and barely nobody could keep their bills afloat, the coronavirus test, last time I checked, was supposed to be free. This man got access to the clinics to where he was getting tests and charging his congregation $150, and actually $150 for the test and $50 for the clinic. So literally $200 a pop. That doesn't even add on to the goddamn fish sandwich plates that they were handing out during the barbecue, which that literally killed off social distancing. But he was charging that to the people, and this was supposed to be a shepherd of a mega church flock. The same guy who got 2 young minors pregnant, the same guy who left his wife, who has multiple men and women under him, was now selling to the community COVID-19 tests to have his flock tested on old. Y'all know to do the test, you got to put it up your nose, right? That's very dangerous. You can mess up and kill somebody. But this man was selling $200 tests to people. And the only way how he got stopped was because people that weren't part of his church literally said, yo, dude, like, stop. Like, you're going to get people killed. Other than that, and the question that we had to ask is, how did he get clearance and permission to get a hold of those tests? And at the time, there weren't that many tests to hand out. So how did he get the test? You see what I'm saying?
What is that noise?
Yeah, somebody, y'all meet up. But you get what I'm saying, Snafu? You get what I'm saying, Caroline? That's where, when it comes to, there's been so much hurt by.
It's saddening, man. You're absolutely right. It's just.
Yeah, there's
yeah,
so much
it is.
How do you? It's just so much hurt that it literally is like, how do you trust that when that just happened? Why I can't trust send my mama Nichelle to church if I know the pastor is trying to sweet talk her out of $150, and we're like, well, mama, where's the money you gave me for the light bill? Oh, I gave it to the pastor. What? Oh, we gotta get that back.
And then you gotta think that's just centralized, you know. There's so many stories and so many sources and so many things coming out, and it's not even, like I said, it's a lot of just opposite of what it's there for, and that's what we're seeing in all aspects of the world. It's the flipping upside down of everything, you know. It's nuts.
The corruption of church has been since the beginning of religion. When you talk about the Catholic Church, the Pope, I forgot which Pope it was that blessed the first slave ship. When you talking about also with the Vatican and child molestation, or with the mafia, when you bring it over to England, where King James will bore you people who did not convert to his type of Christianity. What did they do with the Protestants? They would kill them or ship them to the Americas, which is why people, quote unquote, came here to America. So the whole religion has always been corrupt. Now, I will say this for Black people to where, because we have no business, my opinion, picking up Christianity, religion. However, that was a survival tool that Black people used to their advantage, and it helped build Black communities, especially as soon as slavery ended. A Black church was at the pedestal, at the top of a Black community. When you entered in a Black community, you would see a church there. So over the years, it did change to what it is now, so yeah, it is an agenda behind it. I am separation of state and church, but they love to intermingle it to their advantage. Right. Politicians are not allowed to get funding from a church or a religious backing. However, they always end up coming to a Black church when they want that Black vote, and they don't give nothing back. But Black people don't demand anything as well. So when we're talking about religion and we're talking about the church has always been corrupt. Did
you know Joe Biden quoted the Quran recently? Did you know that?
Are you serious?
I don't really care. He'll quote.
Well, I mean, but you should care. You should care because you're talking about how it's about the Black and the church and the corruption. Noahide laws. The Noahide laws being put in place right now. All the presidents signing off on the Noahide laws all the time. I'm telling you what, we're witnessing the world stage being set. I really think this is far bigger than some of you even are truly understanding what is happening in the world right now. Look into Noahide laws. I'm telling you, what we're witnessing. I mean, I get what you're saying with the church, and I'm telling you, iPet Go. Have you ever seen the subliminal messages of just like the Simpsons predictions and the cartoons and stuff like that?
Or something?
Conspiracy theories.
I do. You know what? We have people who work with.
Hey, listen. I'm not going to dismiss what you're saying, but at the same time, you have to. If you look through history, world history, what you're seeing has been going on. It's just they're just revamping it. Yeah, they're just elevating it, doing something different, so that certain people could stay in power.
And it's not. Let me address the conspiracy theory question, dude, because that's important, man. The world thinks that that's a bad name, and I'm gonna put a thank you to all the channels out there that allow people such as Marfugal TV, InfoWars, Road to Prison, all these Fringe Files, all these channels out there who people want to say, oh, you guys are talking about this crazy stuff, because it allows the people to talk about some of the most crazy things. And yeah, you have heated up arguments like this one, and that's why I said, thank you for allowing us to come together today doing this show, you know. But the thing is I'm telling you what, some of these things that you guys are like, oh, that's just way out there, maybe you should take the time to research it as much as some of this other stuff, and you will find out. Conspiracy theory, there's a reason why they're targeting that word and saying, oh, if you're a conspiracy theory, then you're a terrorist. No, you know what? A conspiracy theory is the same as Einstein, who said, hey, I wonder if this would have happened, and it happened. You know, a theory, even if it's the most a unicorn spitting Skittles out of its ass, I live in America, dude. If someone's going to tell me that, it's up to me to be logical, decipher, and discern what I want to believe and what I want to see as true.
So when I pushed back on you earlier, when you're talking about things that's been happening worldwide, if we're talking about, you know, yeah, people do have, some people try to make conspiracy theorists to be crazy or whatever, and a lot of stuff they do.
It's so deeper. It's deep.
It's true. However, so when I brought up the banking system, you know, when I brought up the Berlin Conference, yeah, that's all part of it too. An agenda. That stuff has been going on, particularly so that certain people could gain power. I label it white supremacy, but the fact is that when I say this has been going on for centuries, you cannot ignore the Berlin Conference, which chopped up Africa for the purpose to enrich Europe, because without Africa, we all will be living in shit.
So what about the statue? What about the Statue of Liberty, man? The Statue of Liberty here in America. He said, let's talk about America. Do you know that that Statue of Liberty is the goddess of Ishtar, the sex and the symbol of sex and fertility? Even though most people think it's a symbol of freedom, but in reality, it's a Messianic symbol. Like, do you understand? We are living in a world.
That's a bad thing. That's a bad thing.
Well, no. What I'm saying is this stuff like 9/11. That thing was on the $20 bill. The mask, it's on the $20 bill.
Let's talk about the Statue of Liberty.
What else? Rabbit hole. The rabbit hole big.
Why did the French? Wait a minute. Why did the French make the Statue of Liberty? That people don't talk about the chain. That's really a chain wrapped around the Statue of Liberty's foot, symbolizing the bondage of Black people in slavery.
Right.
Did you know that?
I did. But did you know that it's also Ishtar, the goddess of fertility? Did you know that? Go look up the image.
So when you bring it up, where are we going with this? Where are we going with this? Because everything.
I'm saying that this whole race. I'm saying the whole race.
When we see buildings in the Capitol, in Washington D.C. and New York City, or throughout the world, where do you think they got it from? They got it from Kemet. They got it from Black people. They took it out of Africa and they tried to flip it and make it into their own and change the whole story around from it. So yeah, we could go down that damn rabbit hole, but that's not the topic.
Well, no, you talked about religion. And I think you guys don't understand. We're witnessing, because of the Black Lives Matter linked to Hamas, because of the Noahide laws, because of the Mandela effect, because of all this race bait and bullshit that never existed until now again. It's always been there. Is linked to Hamas. It is linked to Hamas. Black Lives Organization is linked to Hamas. You go look it up. Go check it out. Go see who's running the show. Go see who's running the show. Go see who's running the show. You should care. It's a foreign country. It's not even you. It's not even a Black person.
I should not care. We know it's funded by George Soros. It's an LGBTQ agenda with blackface.
And abortion goes into the LGBT agenda. You can't tell me it doesn't.
The what?
The abortion. Abortions goes with
abortion.
Is LGBTQ not all about it? Let's abort babies all the time.
There's a lot of people that are for abortion.
No, is the LGBTQ for abortion or not? That's what I'm asking you.
LGBTQ did not create abortion.
Are they for it? Are they for it? Do they not endorse? Do they not endorse it?
A lot of people.
Do they not endorse it?
A lot of people are for abortion.
They endorse it.
So The thing.
Okay, yeah. So do some black people. So do white people.
No. I'm asking you specifically the LGBT, and
no, you're asking me about LGBTQ. LGBTQ is for what they want. That's going to help their organization.
Do they not endorse abortion as a whole? As a whole, do they not endorse abortion?
There's some that believe in it, some don't. Nobody knows.
As a whole, though.
There are some people who are gay who are anti-abortions, but you're talking about that organization. Do that organization fund Planned Parenthood? Nope. Probably so.
Yeah, a lot more than you guys think. But you got to look at where the money. You always hear the term "look where the money goes."
Can you bring it back to the topic? That's where I'm going.
Right, and the topic is this racial divide that you have seen, and it's and yes, there's always been racial.
LGBTQ is not a race.
You may need to upgrade your mic. You got reverb.
Yeah, because it's very fuzzy. But LGBTQ is not a race.
I have a mic. I wish I could. Like, goddamn it, I could tell you. Blue Yeti.
BMT, hey,
my bad.
DJ Kuda.
DJ Kuda. Shout out to you, DJ Kuda. Now, one of the things about it, like I said,
I got my good mic on my podcast, man. My bad. I'm using a headset, little Sony, little flimsy thing. I call it ghetto fab, my friend. That's what we call ghetto fab over here.
Let me go ahead and I think I just had it. I'm gonna try to pull it back up. I had something that was sent to me, and I want to go over this. And this is something that was very profound when I've been reading it while we've been talking. And they all now in some countries they always say never forget. You've heard that from a certain group, never forget, and they make sure everybody remembers. And right here, this is the list of incidents of civil unrest in the United States. Major episodes of civil unrest where there's been now everybody's action. I remember when first thing that happened was, why are these people rioting and tearing up stuff? Rioting does not do anything. And I said, what do you mean? Rioting is one of the most effective things ever done in the whole wide world. Literally, that's possibly when you get things done. And they said, no, it's not. I said, then how do you explain the Tea Party? How do you explain majority? That's how this nation was founded, off of rioting. And literally, they have the Doctors Mob riot, the paper money riot, Shays Rebellion. I read up on that. Fry's Rebellion. Literally through the 1800s. Oh my God, that's all they did. Almost every month they were doing a riot. But we noticed that a lot of riots and civil unrest was happening. Now, one of the things about it that we ask is this: when they say remember 9/11, and I remember there was a video, and he said, well, y'all say remember 9/11, but do we also get to say remember remember Wall Street? And the guy
don't ever forget Building 7 either, brother. Don't ever forget Building 7. Yeah, I know I don't want to interrupt you, but whenever you talk about 9/11, don't ever remember Building 7, dude. That's a big thing about that whole thing.
Now if we're talking about Building 7, then I would say, well, do you remember Wall Street? You know,
right. I get you. I get what you're saying.
Have you ever read up on Black Wall Street before?
I have. I'm not in depth, but I have read a little, seen a few articles and some clips in here and there.
Right.
I have.
Now, if I looked at that, now Dana, when was Black Wall Street burned down?
1920.
24. I thought.
Now hold on.
We all don't know.
Hold on. Now let's go. If we go up here,
1921.
Now, if we go up here, right?
Actually, start at 1919.
It's right here. Tulsa.
White riots against blacks.
It's right here.
He got it on the screen.
Now, the thing that's interesting about this date,
which date? 1919?
1921. The 1921.
21.
Okay. This never gets taught in U.S. history class.
Nope.
I had to learn about this outside of school. I never heard about this. This is never taught in U.S. history class. This is one of the biggest hits to black wealth was here. Majority of our pool
just
wealth was segregated. This is just one of them, but this was one of the biggest ones. Right. We've had many cities where we did flourish. There you go, Rosewood. Notice throughout these two time period eras where we were literally God-fearing, hardworking individuals, in 3 years, we literally kept getting set back. Was a racially motivated massacre of black people and destruction of a black town that took place during the first week of January 1923 in rural Levi, Florida. At least 6 black people and 2 white people were killed. And then literally, you know what's bad about it? They only said only 6 black people. That's actually a lie. Actually, majority, almost 90% of the town of blacks were all killed off. That's how inaccurate that is.
That's just the second one.
Yeah, okay. That's the second time that happened. The first time it happened, you know,
no. I sometimes I hate when you narrate stuff. That's the second incident too. There were hundreds of black quote unquote Wall Streets throughout this nation that were burnt down and terrorized by white people.
I'm talking about Rosewood. They said
that's what I'm saying. That's one. That's the second.
Oh, you're doing the reference of okay. But I'm saying
yes. So
okay. Now I'm getting what you're going at. But I'm saying that right there.
We don't gotta go in details about that particular city, right. But I need you to go up. I need you to go up to 1919. There were over 40 riots of white riots against black in 1 year. Oh. Not just the 1919 Red Summer, but that whole year. So when any black person, I don't pay attention to white people. And that's no disrespect. Like I don't dislike white people, but I don't pay attention to what they're saying about black people unless you. But like that, I'm talking about. And stop interrupting.
You have to listen though. The other side.
I'm talking. Shut up, because I'm talking.
I just don't understand how you could just not listen.
I'm talking about the black people that sit up here and they want to complain about young people, particularly young people or older people who are out there protesting for something that has been going on against them for years throughout their family, right? So if you're going to sit up here and you're going to talk down about the young people who actually starting to get off their ass and starting to see things, right? Mobilize themselves.
They don't know what they're protesting for. They don't know what they're protesting for.
You can't shit on them if you're not going to sit up here and target and talk about what white people have been doing to you and your family for centuries here in America. Over 40 riots against black people in 1 year. Okay. Let that shit sink in throughout different states.
That's literally.
But you don't sit up here and you don't push back against that. You don't criticize that.
Okay, so
that was how many? 1920, right? It's 2020 right now.
No. That was
1921. Or
so then you want to disrespect black people?
Did I ever say I disrespected it? No. You're putting words in my mouth like you did last time. Hey, lady, you put words in people's mouths. Hey, you put words in people's mouths. Hey, time out. Can I say something, BMT?
Of black people.
Hey, can I say something?
Let him finish, and then I'm
gonna. No, can I say something?
You interrupted.
No. You put words in people's mouths.
And I wasn't even finished yet.
May I say something, BMT? Real quick.
No, because I'm not finished yet.
With respect, even to her. You know, I'm just not gonna lie.
No, you're not.
No, you're putting words in my mouth. You're saying you're saying I'm disrespecting that event. I never said that. I said, how long ago was that event? And yes,
how long ago?
And yes, you're right. Back in those days.
101 years
that you sat up here and said that you read about. So the fact is that when we talk about
101 years,
when we talk about all the riots that happened throughout this country,
are you 101 years old?
About communities, shut up. You're talking about communities that was destroyed.
My great aunt is 105 years old.
Black
That's awesome.
That is awesome,
dude.
Black people could
That's
not
awesome.
gain back the wealth and the money that they lost. And
Well, I can't even
resources that
talk.
they lost during that
Hold on,
time.
Snafu.
I can't even
Hold on,
talk.
Snafu. Let Dana finish. Let Dana finish.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So when you sit up here and say that was so long ago, the reason why I'm referencing history, because what happened there, we were never able to regain our resources from that.
I think go ahead, Snafu. Go ahead, Snafu.
Okay, so again, I'm going to bring up agendas, and you said that. You said you don't want to change history, right? But what about all these statues coming down? Whether you liked the people or not, whether they were for slavery or not, what about this? What about all these agendas? You said, well, these elderly, these kids, they're out there, they're freaking, yeah, Black lives, oh, we've been oppressed, this and that. But what if the agenda was more sinister than you could even imagine, leading to a new world order minus Hulk Hogan, and they're out there under the guise of Black Lives Matter, but really do your education, as you say, link to Hassan and things like that. These are so bigger than you could even imagine, and this race baiting is all I'm saying. And this racial stuff using 101 years old stuff. And yes, you're racially have issues, but you know what? An uneducated white guy, an uneducated Chinese guy, an uneducated black guy, like really, if you're in America, the United States, yeah, just like he said, he lost his job. He lost his job because of his situational thing. And racism does exist. But for the most part, can you vote? Can you do this? Can you do that? We are a people, and there are elites way higher than us of all different colors right now. Okay? Elites and technology that you couldn't even fathom with Elon Musk and stuff like that going on right now. I'm telling you, the optics are high. And you should always listen to all sides, whether it's white people or black people. And that's all I'm saying. And that's all I'm saying. Because you said, no, can I finish? No, may I finish? May I finish? May I finish? May I finish real quick? All I said is
you didn't let me fucking finish.
I guess I'm finished. I guess I'm finished.
You're seeing where you're coming from with your conspiracy theories, but
not
once
are you I'll make conspiracy theories. How you don't know what I'm even talking about, lady? You don't know what I'm talking about. So how do you know they're conspiracy theories? How do you know they're not real shit? How do you know they're not real stuff? You call it conspiracy
white
theories.
Supremacy is real. You're talking about white supremacy.
Okay, I said it's real, but it's not that. Like I said, more the Masonic, what's Noahide laws, the Noahide laws, and all that other stuff I told you. Do you not think that's real? Are you just dismissing that to make it a white versus black issue? Is it what you're doing? Unless they're looking at it as the elites going after we the people around the world. Are you trying to make it a white versus black issue? That's what I'm asking you. That's what I'm asking you. No, it's an issue with the elites versus all kinds of we the people. Red, blue, black, or white.
Have to do? Okay,
and yes, race is part of that agenda. Yes, race is part of that agenda. But these race wars and all this stuff you're seeing is part of what they want to happen.
All right,
for what is happening. It is.
And Caroline, go ahead.
That is your opinion, and it's not a fact.
I'm just saying.
You talking some BS.
No. I'm talking what's called the truth, yo, girl. It's called the truth, yo.
My question is,
that's what it's called. It's called the truth, yo.
What does that have to do with black people and mobilizing black people? You can't answer.
I'm telling you right now, it's linked to Hassan. Black Lives Matter is linked to Hassan. So when you mobilize, when you go out there, you are not representing the United States of America nor any of your brothers or sisters. You're representing a foreign nation. You are representing a foreign nation. You know that?
Black Lives Matter has nothing to do with public policy.
But most people don't understand it. Most people don't do the research. Most people don't look into it.
So why should we believe?
Go ahead, Diderot. Go ahead, Diderot.
And your mic sounds like pure shit. The organization has nothing to do with public policy for the advancement of black people. So your conspiracies and what you are saying still has nothing to do with the advancement of black people and public policies that we need to advance us. That is the topic, but you can't answer that because you're not black.
And I don't need to be black or white or blue or green.
No,
you have an issue of looking at the skin color instead of moving on, like you guys talk about, and saying, you know what, we look at everyone as the same. We don't look at people the same. And I understand you can't. I understand you can't. But you
You
push the
cannot
issues
come
and
up
not
with
looking at people the
solutions for
same.
us.
Hold on.
You even said you wouldn't talk to white people. That's what you said. You said
No,
I won't
I
even talk
said
to
that
white
I
people.
don't deal with them. That's
Snap,
what I said.
snap,
Okay.
You
Okay.
cannot come up with
So let me-
solutions
Okay,
for
that
us.
sounds pretty racist to me. That sounds pretty racist to me. I
No,
don't
that
deal
is
with
a
white
fact.
people.
I can't come up with
I mean,
solutions
that
for
sounds pretty
Chinese
racist
people.
to me.
I can't come up for solutions with Hispanics.
Just saying.
I have
Just
to come
saying.
up with solutions for Black people